Hi, it's Gabrielle. Do you feel like you never really know what's going on with your partner until that moment where they get angry at you or pull away from you? In this video, I'm going to show you how to read your partner so you know what's really going on with them before you get into conflict. For over 12 years, I've been a licensed professional counselor and relationship expert in private practice in Boulder, Colorado. And my practice is grounded in the science of what makes relationships work. Today, I'm going to teach you the exact steps that you need to take to read your partner's inner state so you can avoid conflict and build a warm, fantastic relationship. If you like the relationship advice and couples tips that you're learning here, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel right now. Just click on the subscribe button right here. And if you're enjoying these videos, please give this a like and share it. And please go to thepowercoupleformula.com for lots more information about how to build an amazing relationship, and powercoupleseducation.com to stay connected. Okay, let me start by sharing with you a surprising piece of research about the importance of nonverbal communication. Are you ready? 97% of your communication is nonverbal. 97%. Your words are nothing compared to what you're communicating through your face, your body, your posture, and your movement. And the same goes for your partner. Their real messages are coming through their nonverbals and not from their words. Now, there's a common misconception about nonverbal communication that we need to straighten out. Most people think of nonverbal communication as a hair toss or a frown or an eyebrow raise. And all of these things, at least, are largely within our conscious control. So we control our eyebrows, we control when we flip our hair and those types of things. While conscious expression is a part of nonverbal communication, what's much more vital about nonverbal communication is what you're not conscious of, what you're not in control of. And that's the functioning of your autonomic nervous system. And the communication between couples is all about the autonomic nervous system. Now, just a little bit of Science 101 here. What is your autonomic nervous system? Your autonomic nervous system is made up of all the nerves that run through your brain, your spinal cord, and into all the major organ systems of your body, like your liver, your lungs, your heart. This system is responsible for all of the physiological changes in things like your heart rate, your breathing, your body temperature. And all of those things have one thing in common. They're all outside of your conscious control. You can't control your body temperature or how much you sweat or whether your skin turns white or your pupils dilate. All those things happen automatically as the result of environmental or even emotional stimuli. So trust me, that weird glance from your partner is going to register in your autonomic nervous system and create real physiological changes in you. What's more, people pick up on your nonverbal expression way more than they're even consciously aware of. And with you and your partner, this kind of communication is even more intense. Your unconscious is picking up on what's going on in your partner's nervous system even more than it would with somebody you don't know. And all of those physical signs are a form of nonverbal communication. Just like all of us, you and your partner are going to show signs of discomfort, hurt, or stress before you personally may even register that that's how you're really feeling. This is especially true for certain types of people who have a lot of trouble getting in touch with their feelings. And even when they do feel something, they might not be able to readily find the words to articulate what that feeling is. So this whole underlying system of communicating through all of these nonverbal signals that are outside of you and your partner's conscious control is going on between the two of you all the time at lightning speed and outside of your conscious awareness. It's a big part of the communication between you. Now you can see what a valuable asset it would be for your relationship if you could interpret those nonverbal signs that something's stressing out your partner before things get out of hand. So what are the nonverbal signs that your partner is in distress? Let's talk about those. Some of them might be pretty obvious, like Pretty much everyone knows that if they hear their partner raise their voice, they're probably getting angry. But there are other more subtle signs that might take a little bit of knowledge in order to be able to interpret. How dilated or closed your partner's pupils are, how quick or slow their physical movements, and changes in their vocal tone all indicate that your partner's energy is changing in their nervous system. It might be getting higher or lower. Sometimes it's for the better and sometimes for the worse. Now, where partners really get into trouble is when all of these signs indicate that a certain part of your brain has been activated, and that's the amygdala, the part of your brain that's always scanning your environment for threats, including threats that you're experiencing from your intimate partner. Threats could be things like a loud voice, or a sudden movement, or calling you a name, or even more subtle things like sighing heavily, or rolling their eyes, or turning their back on you. All of those things are registered by your autonomic nervous system as signs of threat. If you and your partner don't do something to de-escalate that threat as soon as possible, then your brains are going to move on to the next level of activation, which is the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the part of your brain that readies you to defend yourself against threats. The hypothalamus does this by activating stress chemicals from your adrenal and pituitary glands. You may notice the following kinds of changes in your partner's nonverbal behavior that shows you that they're getting ready to defend themselves against threat. Your partner's skin turning red. You might notice their muscles stiffening, or they just are displaying a greater level of energy. Their mouth may be drying up, and you may even be able to hear that as they're talking to you. You might notice their eyes darting back and forth as they're scanning for threats. So those are all signs that your partner is getting ready for a fight. And you could notice those even before a fight has actually broken out between the two of you. But on the other hand, your partner might be somebody who collapses or withdraws in the face of threat rather than fighting back. In this case, it's a special series of nerves that gets activated in their nervous system that's called the dorsal motor vagal complex. Kind of a fancy word for a bunch of nerves that are designed to slow you down rather than speed you up. The dorsal vagal complex will slow your heart rate, slow down your breathing. Think about what happens to a little mouse that's being chased by a huge lion. And now think about what happens to a little mouse that's chased by this enormous lion. The mouse's best chance at survival may be to go behind a rock and freeze rather than trying to run away. And that's why we all developed this dorsal motor vagal complex. If your partner tends to react this way under threat, you might notice that they tend to get quiet. They might kind of hunch over, start talking very quietly. The speed of their speech might slow down. You might notice changes in their skin color, like all of the blood sort of draining out of their face as they turn white, or just a general slackening in the muscles of the face. All of these are signs that this very ancient nerve system is being activated that is producing this kind of collapse in them, just like that little mouse that went to hide behind the rock. The bottom line here is that regardless of whether your partner is a fighter or a collapser or a withdrawer, it's important that you understand the unique signs of threat that show up in your partner's face and body, and that they understand those things about you and your face and body as well. It's important that both of you develop an awareness of how your behavior is creating changes in each other's state. But in order to do that, you have to start tracking what's going on with your partner. How are they feeling? How are they doing? What kind of mood are they in? Are they in trouble? I wonder what they need right now. Those are the types of questions that a lot of couples don't ask about each other. It's not going to be possible to even start identifying what the changes are in your partner's nervous system if you're not in the habit of paying attention to how they're doing in general. So the first step is to start paying attention to each other. Not just the words that the two of you say, but changes in your face and body. Your job as a couple is to learn how to soothe each other, how to calm each other down when you're upset, how to lift each other up when you're feeling low, how to excite each other. One of the things you can do here is decide that the next time you get into conflict, you're going to start noticing together what the changes are in each one of you that start to signal signs of stress. You can decide that when that happens, you're going to gently point out to each other things like, honey, I noticed that you seem to be starting to turn red, and I'm wondering if that's matching up with this feeling of getting more stressed out. You might even be able to see things like changes in your partner's breathing, that they start breathing more quickly, or you notice that their breath is suddenly very high up in their chest. Or, one person I knew could even see this kind of vein popping out on the left side of her husband's head every time they started to escalate. So all of these things are very important because they're giving you important information that the two of you are moving into the danger zone and that you need to do something now to bring this thing back down before this full-blown activation of the hypothalamus, before all of those stress chemicals start flooding your systems. Because once you get to that stage where you're in full-blown stress activation, you're not going to be able to recover from that as quickly as you can if you hit this thing upstream. There are some important tools that you can introduce right away that are really going to change what happens when you and your partner start to escalate. It's really important that you talk about the important issues face to face with your partner. We're constantly taking in visual cues from each other. And again, much of this information that we're taking in is happening outside of our conscious awareness, these deeper parts of our brains that are registering these very subtle changes in our partner's face and body. And if we're not looking directly at each other, we're going to miss all of that information. We're not going to understand how what we're saying is impacting our partner, which is why having conflict face to face is a critical key to successful arguments. You don't want to fight over text. You don't want to fight over the phone. You don't want to fight over email. You don't want to fight over FaceTime. It needs to be done face to face. So if you are getting into a fight with your partner when the two of you are texting back and forth, or you're in a car, it's better that you shelve the argument until you can get to a place where the two of you can sit down face to face and hash it out. One of the biggest mistakes that I see couples make all the time is that they let their conflict get too far down the road before they start trying to do something about it. So a guy might say, well, I try to touch my wife in a loving way and she just doesn't want me anywhere near her. That's usually because they're already in conflict and her amygdala is already in full-blown activation, that hypothalamus is going, those stress chemicals have already flooded her nervous system, and there's just no way that she's going to be open to loving touch in that moment. So the takeaway is that it's critical that you start picking up on these distress cues early in your fights, and that you learn how to identify them, make them conscious, and especially learn how to improve your partner's state by doing things that actively calm them down, soothe them, and bring you guys out of the danger zone. So don't ignore your partner's stress cues. Learn how to identify them early in the fight so that you know that you're going in the wrong direction and you can start to do something to bring both of you back into a place of balance before things get out of control. And we'll be talking more in future videos about exactly what you can do to de-escalate your arguments. So now let's hear from you. If you're in a relationship, I'd like you to actually try this exercise with your partner at home, where you decide, when you're not in conflict, that the next time you start to get into trouble with each other, you're going to start to gently notice what the physical signs are in each other that you're starting to get stressed out. Once you have a sense of what those signs are, I'd like you to Sound off in the comments below about what you've learned. What are your signs of stress? What are your partner's signs of stress? And then we'll be talking more in the future videos about how to de-escalate. So I look forward to reading your comments, and I'll see you in the next video.